Hello and welcome to another video. So for the past couple of days, a bunch of YouTubers, myself included, have been very busy showcasing all of the new move updates for the new season. But I realized it's been a while since I've showcased like a really strong and OP team for Great League. A lot of the teams that I've showcased for the past couple of days have been good with the new Pokemon, but it's been a while since I've taken one of the best cores in Ninetales Wombat and 3 of the best Pokemon in Great League into Go Battle League. So today we're gonna do that, and we're gonna see just how much damage we can do with them. Going into the first game, we lead into an Alteria. A pretty neutral lead, although it is generally to Alteria's advantage. In this matchup, you want to go for Shadow Ball instead of Sky Attack. Although Sky Attack is more energy efficient, 2 Shadow Balls is enough to take out an Alteria, whereas 2 Sky Attacks is not. It does a little bit more damage. And also, it takes the equivalent of 15 Wing Attacks for the Alteria to get to 2 Sky Attacks. So if you go 1 over the second Shadow Ball, you can try and CMP tie the Alteria here, which we do manage to do. And Ninetales will win CMP. So we get off the second Shadow Ball, but it's just barely not enough to take out this Alteria. We let the Ninetales go, and now we can get an energy advantage on Swampert. I could have maybe tried to go for the Sky Attack and undercharged it a little bit to leave it with more health to give my Swampert more of an energy lead. But yeah, we do get 1 Mudshot's worth of energy, and they bring in a Sableye. In this matchup, you generally need to land an Earthquake in order to take out the Sableye. But in the 2 shields, if you have a little bit of attack on Swampert, or if the Sableye is not like ideal IVs, you can get away with only landing a Hydro Cannon. So we go for the second Hydro Cannon here on CMP. It takes 665 for the Sableye to get to its foul place, so they should be 5 away from the next one, meaning we can overfarm quite a lot more and try to go for another CMP. But my opponent decides to try and catch on a Lantern, so we go for the Earthquake instead. And how much damage does an Earthquake do to a Lantern? All of it. Boom! Takes out the Lantern. We bring in the Registeel on the Sableye. They are going to outpace the 2 foul plays, but it does not matter. Registeel will be able to get to a Zap Cannon, and that should be a good game. Nice catch attempt by my opponent, but no. We do get off the Earthquake. It's always so satisfying to just one-shot a Pokemon like that. Get to the Zap Cannon, and this should take out the Sableye, and that is a good game. Next game lead into Charizard. Who dares to use Charizard against me? That is my Pokemon. In this matchup, you generally want to get to go for a Sky Attack immediately to threaten the shield before they get to a Blast Burn. And because they're deciding to throw immediately here, I'm thinking they are energy dry if it's a Blast Burn. If it's a bait, great. If it's a Blast Burn, they're energy dry. So I'm going to swap into Swampert, save my Ninetales for a sack later, and then they farm up to a Dragon Claw. They went 1 over, it's 7, 4, 4, and then 5 if they go for Dragon Claws after this. So they're 3 away from the next one. We throw 2 more Mudshots, and then go for a Hydro Cannon, not a Muddy Water. We do not run Muddy Water on Swampert. They should be 5 away from the next one, so we can overfarm quite a lot before going for the next one. But they decide to try and catch on a Dunsparce. Unsuccessfully, it takes 4 for the Dunsparce to get to a Drill Run. And they are at 3 now, so we can throw 1 more Mudshot, but then we have to go for the Hydro Cannon. The Charizard should be 2 away from the next move, meaning they will be able to CMP tie us on the Hydro Cannon if we go for it. So I decide to go for 2 more Mudshots, and then I catch the move on Ninetales. But I cannot bring in the Registeel here, because it will get outpaced to a Blast Burn before Registeel gets to a move. So I have to bring in my Swampert to take out the Charizard. I go for 2 more Mudshots to leave my Swampert with as little HP as possible, to give whatever they have in the back as little energy as possible. But it's a Galarian Stunfisk, and Registeel cannot win this matchup down energy, unfortunately, because they get to 2 Earthquakes at the same time as Registeel gets to 2 Focus Blasts. So I concede that game. Unfortunate that it was a Galarian Stunfisk in the back. Next game, lead into a Skarmory. Very bad lead for Ninetales. They do 5 Air Slashes before swapping into Medicham after I save swap my Swampert. We go for the Hydro Cannon, and they shield it. Usually people don't shield the first move against Swampert. They go up to 6 counters and then go for a move, and it's a Power-Up Punch, which I shielded. It is always so painful to shield a Power-Up Punch. But yeah, go for another Hydro Cannon, and they shield once again. I try to get to an Earthquake here, thinking they were going to go for the farm down. That would put the Medicham into farm range for my Ninetales, but they decide to go for a Power-Up Punch to take out Swampert. Now we can bring in Ninetales. They only throw 5 counters here, and they were dry before, so they should only be a Power-Up Punch more, or another Power-Up Punch. So we can do 4 more wing attacks here. It's always 5 for the power punch, and then go for the sky attack to take out the Medicham. The Skarmory is 1 away from the sky attack, so we threw 1 more wing attack, and then we catch the sky attack on Registeel. Very nice. And at this point, my opponent just decides to concede the game. They were probably ABA weak to Registeel, I'm not sure. Next game, into a Shadow, a load of Ninetales. We stay in to see if it's Charm or Powder Snow. If it's Powder Snow, we want to swap out. If it's Charm, we can stay in because Noctowl actually wins the 1 shield here. Also, I should go for the Shadow Ball. I looked this up afterwards. In order to win the 1 shield, you can't just go straight Shadow Ball because you outpace the 2 Shadow Balls before they get to 2 Weather Balls. And a Shadow Ball is what you need in order to take them out. So we go for the Shadow Ball here. And if they shield this, we want to swap out because I don't want to let myself get farmed down. And also this gives me the opportunity to potentially farm something else down later on with Noctowl and maybe get to another Shadow Ball on the Alolan Ninetales. Swap in Registeel. At this point, I've generally made up my mind that the strategy is to try and save Swampert in the back if you get a shield advantage. And then you can just try and sweep with the Swampert later on. They farm up a lot of energy and go for the Dynamic Punch. I've seen more and more Medichams deviate from the usual Ice Punch Psychic moveset. At this point, I bring in my Noctowl just to sacrifice it because they still have so much energy. So they go for the Ice Punch immediately, and now we can bring in Swampert. Overfarm a lot here. I thought they needed 1 more Ice Punch to get to, or 1 more counter to get to the Ice Punch. So I wanted to throw 1 more Mud Shot, but apparently they were at the Ice Punch. Bit of a mistake by me. Then they try to catch on Alolan Ninetales, but we still just have to throw this Hydro Cannon on it because we cannot take these charms. They do too much damage. Swampert is getting way too low at this point. They are very close to a move on Medicham, so we go for a Hydro Cannon. And now, do they have something in the back which Swampert can one-shot? It's a Sableye. We're not getting to 2 Hydro Cannons, so we go for the Earthquake instead. How much damage does this do from a Shadow Swampert? It one-shots the Sableye. Boom! And we win that game with 1 HP on Swampert. Next game, another bad lead into a Registeel. And they counter-swap a Trevenant onto our Registeel. But this means we're not going to see the Trevenant on Swampert. So maybe Swampert can sweep in the back. I also maybe should have undercharged the Zap Cannon. Because even if I undercharged it, I could still threaten the KO with another Zap Cannon. And it would leave the Trevenant with more health. Meaning, like, they have to take me out now and basically leave themselves in farm range for Noctowl. If I'd undercharged that Zap Cannon, I could have left them with even more health, giving my Noctowl even more energy, which is basically free energy against a Trevenant because the Trevenant can't do anything to a Noctowl. They go for a Seed Bomb, doesn't do anything. We go for the Shadow Ball. Maybe we can set something else up for a farm, is a strategy you can use, and maybe get to 2 more Shadow Balls on the Registeel. That is a way to maybe win this game. But they bring in a Frost Slash on Swampert, and at this point, I'm realizing we are going to win this game with Swampert. Because against a Frost Slash, unless you have a very good IV Swampert, Shadow Swampert against a very good IV Frost Slash, 1 Hydro Cannon is enough to take out the Frost Slash in the 2 shields. It also looks like I'm getting a Mud Shot Breakpoint, which you can get in this matchup, Shadow Swampert against Frost Slash, where the Mud Shot does 1 more damage. They're usually not supposed to be this low at this point, but yeah. Once again, it takes 665 for the Avalanches, so we can overfarm all the way up to the CMP tire. Once again, go for the Hydro Cannon, take out the Frost Slash, get to the Earthquake on the Registeel. This is, of course, gonna one-shot the Registeel once again. Boom! And another sweep with Shadow Swampert. Next game. And good lead for Noctowl into a Deoxys. This team, I wanted to play this team because I was seeing a lot of like Deoxys double ice. You've probably seen it with the Dewgong and the Alolan Sandslash. And Noctowl is good against Deoxys, so you can get Registeel onto the Dewgong because they're probably going to save swap it, and then you can get Swampert onto Alolan Sandslash. I didn't face that team when I used this team, unfortunately, but I just wanted to explain that in case you see that Deoxys double ice. In this matchup, they swap in Umbreon. I swap in Registeel because this is a very dominant matchup. 1 Focus Blast is not enough to put them into farm down range, so you have to throw 2 moves anyways, which is why I'm going for the Zap Cannon to debuff them. And they go for another foul play. Umbreon is just very spammy. And then I throw Lormon Lock-ons and then go for another Zap Cannon because I'm thinking I can live another foul play, so I want to undercharge this and try and farm them down, come out with a lot more energy. But I didn't undercharge it quite enough. I probably should have undercharged it even more because I could have taken another foul play and that energy would have just been very valuable on Registeel if I could have gotten that farm down. Instead, they bring in Deoxys again, we bring in Noctowl, then they bring in Dewgong. I think we can get to 2 Sky Attacks here, which is why I'm going for it instead of 1 Shadow Ball. If you can only get to 1, it's the Shadow Ball. But we're just about not able to get to a Sky Attack, and now the Dewgong farms me down, which is not ideal. Bring in the Registeel, hoping that they're gonna go for the bait. Even if they go for the drill run, they should be almost energy dry, which should also be fine, but they do go for the bait, meaning we get to another Zap Cannon. And they should either grab the shield or take out the Dewgong. Grabs the shield, we can swap in Swampert. They go for another move. We of course have to shield everything at this point. But this game is not over because the Deoxys still has a lot of health remaining. We go for the Earthquake right before they get to another move. They should take out the Dewgong. But now they bring in Deoxys. It still has a lot of health and it has a lot of energy. In hindsight, I definitely should no-shield this. If they were gonna go for the Psycho Boost, they would have over-farmed a lot more to like not debuff themselves way too early. But in the moment, I was thinking I wanted to shield the first Psycho Boost instead of the second one. And then I go for the Earthquake, forgetting that I was debuffed or not like thinking about that I was debuffed. So the Earthquake is not quite enough. But I get saved by the fact that the Deoxys does not have Psycho Boost. If they had Psycho Boost, I would have probably lost that game. But that is a GG. Next game, lead into a Dewgong. I decided to swap in my hard counter because at this point, whenever I see a bad lead, I'm just trying to set up Swampert for the sweep, basically. So we bring in Registeel. They bring in a Meganium. This is not really like, especially not like a hard counter to Registeel. It's very bait dependent, this matchup. They do have Earthquake, but they bait me with a Frenzy Plant. We go for the Zap Cannon because at this point I would like to debuff them in case they go for an Earthquake after this, which they're probably going to. It looks like they lagged a little bit, but yeah, it might have just been visual. You never know with this game. They go for another move. They are quite close to another move after this. The Earthquake does a lot of damage, but we outpace them to a Focus Blast before they get to another Frenzy Plant. And this takes out the Meganium, meaning now we have switch advantage. They bring back in the Dewgong, but they have to throw a move in order to take me out. So they should only be on 1 Ice Shard after this. Unless it's a liquidation. Just gonna be honest, I don't actually know the counts for liquidation. They go for another move here against the Swampert. I think it's the same count as, yeah, it's 45 energy, so it should be the exact same as the Icy Wind. I could bait here or go straight for the nuke. They have a shield. We go straight for the nuke. Boom! Almost takes out the Dewgong. We get the farm down on the Dewgong. They bring in a Noctowl. I go up to the back-to-back Hydro Cannon and catch the Sky Attack on Noctowl. So now we have a lot of energy on Swampert. Now we can just go for Sky Attacks. Try and over-farm. Try and, I don't know, throw them off count. But I should be able to get, because we can lift the Sky Attack. So I should be able to get to 2 Sky Attacks. Meaning they have to either go for a Sky Attack themselves or shield and then farm down. But I have a Hydro Cannon loaded, so if they go for the farm down, I'm just going to get up the Sky Attack to get the shield and then Swampert is going to win CMP. If they threw the Sky Attack, they couldn't have gotten out enough energy to get to another Sky Attack on my Swampert before I got off both of these Hydro Cannons. So this would have been GG regardless, but Swampert takes out the Noctowl and that is definitely a GG. Next game, lead into an Alteria. Once again, same procedure as last time, only this time I'm gonna try go for the Sky Attack at the end to like undercharge it and leave them with a little bit more HP to go for a very aggressive mud shutdown. That is my thinking. Go for the Shadow Ball, does about half once again. And they go for the Sky Attack, meaning we can go 1 over the Shadow Ball once again. And once again, we get the CMP tie. These are done, like these games are obviously done at a little bit lower elo than I'm used to. They also shield the move, which is absolutely fine by me. Now we get a shield advantage instead. And now we can bring in Registeel. They're staying in, which once again, absolutely fine by me. They get to another move, but it's only a Sky Attack. Alteria can only throw resisted moves at Registeel. So I'm actually going for a Focus Blast here, load up to 100 energy and then go for a Focus Blast, which I'm undercharging almost completely in the hopes that I can lock on them down before they get to another move, whilst not taking a lot of Dragon Breath damage, come up with a lot of energy on Registeel. They bring in a load of Marowak, we swap in a Shadow Swampert, and then they swap in a Azumarill. Up a shield, we can just go straight Earthquake. No point in baiting here. We should be able to outpace them even if they shield the first Earthquake. First Earthquake does massive damage. They go for a move after 5 bubbles, which means it's an Ice Beam, and they should be 5 away from the next Ice Beam. So we can overfarm up to 100 energy and go for the first Hydro Cannon. They should take them out, although resisted. But they shielded, and now we can go for another Hydro Cannon with Swamp Head. They should take out the Azumarill. The Alolan Marowak does have quite a bit of energy, but we should be able to outpace them, and my opponent realizes that, and they concede the game. Next game, lead into another Skarmory. This time I'm actually just swapping in my heart counter. They do 3 Air Slashes and then swap into a Mudshot Stunfisk. And this is one of the reasons why Registeel is an absolute monster on the safe swap. The Focus Blast does about half to the Stunfisk, and even though this is a Mudshot Stunfisk, because I just built a new Registeel, all hail the new Registeel. By the way, my old Registeel with yikes IVs cannot take 2 Mud Bombs. But because I built a new one, this can actually win the Zero Shields against a regular Stunfisk, only getting 2 lock-ons advantage. They bring back in the Skarmory, and they didn't fight for switch at all. I don't want to bring in my Swampert up in against a loaded Skarmory, and because they didn't fight for switch at all, I'm thinking they must have another answer to Noctowl in the back, and it makes a lot of sense for them to have like something like a Lantern. They go for a Sky Attack, farming up to 9 Air Slashes, meaning they're 1 away from another Sky Attack. Bring in the Lantern, we go for the Hydro Cannon with Swampert. Shadow Swampert can win like the 2 shield scenario, straight Hydro Cannon against the Lantern. Also a Water Gun Lantern, both a Water Gun and a Spark Lantern. Shield the first Surf, we don't have to shield the second one. We can let 1 through. And now we can go up to the CMP tie. Takes 5 for every Surf for the Lantern. Go for another Hydro Cannon. It does get the shield. And at this point, I'm very much looking at my switch timer to see if it's possible for them to swap out. It is. They swap into Skarmory. They were 1 away from the Sky Attack, so we catch it on Noctowl with a CMP sack. It would have looked a lot more pretty if we had actually won this CMP, but still, a CMP sack is a CMP sack, so we get off this Shadow Ball whilst also catching the move. But they get to farm out Noctowl and come out with 4 Air Slashes worth of energy, 1 away from the Sky Attack. So we get to the Hydro Cannon right before they get to another one. And now the question is, can we outpace the Lantern to an Earthquake before they get to a Surf? And the answer is, yes, we can. Get there right before they get to the Surf. And this annihilates the Lantern. And that is a good game. That was the last battle for today, and overall this team performed very well. It's just a very good and solid team that I would definitely recommend for climbing. Shadow Swampert and Registeel performed particularly well in the meta that I saw today, but Noctowl had a lot of tough leads. If you're also seeing a lot of tough leads for Noctowl, you can change to a different lead that also beats Trevenant and fighting types, like a Sableye for example, or maybe you can get creative. Other than that, fun fact of the day, with 3 Mudshots advantage, Shadow Swampert can beat Medicham in all even shield scenarios, straight Hydro Cannon. Other than that, if you like what you see, or feel like you learned something, like and subscribe. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you next time.